Endrick is not like any teenager. He's currently bursting onto the football scene after the announcement of his move to Real Madrid for €60 million at the age of 17. The young Brazilian striker grew up supporting Los Blancos and idolising the Brazilian Ronaldo. Just like his idol, Endrick has started on the path of creating records. So, are people right about Endrick? And will he have even a part of the legacy that R9 had? Brazil's coach, Dorival Jr. must believe so. He showed faith and brought in the teenage sensation in a friendly against England in Wembley in the 71st minute. Endrick would score in the 80th minute, and his strike would give Brazil their first win against England at Wembley in 29 years. Scoring in that match also made Endrick the youngest footballer at 17 years 246 days to score a senior international goal at Wembley. It would also make him the youngest goalscorer for Brazil since R9. In the next friendly against Spain, Endrick scored the equaliser and contributed to Brazil's 3-3 draw against Spain. The teenage sensation made a bigger impact this time than his call-ups in 2023 when Fernando Diniz was managing Brazil. The call-up had him in contention for the 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Colombia and Argentina. Despite only coming on for 20 minutes combined in those two matches, this made him the youngest Brazilian to get a call-up again since Ronaldo in 1994. With his performances against England and Spain, his agent Federico Peña believes Chelsea would be regretting their attitudes towards securing the signature of the teenage wonder kid. Before even kicking a ball for the senior team, Endrick has become the source of attention for big clubs. Scoring 170 goals in 172 games at the youth level is something an elite team just can't ignore. So, Chelsea went for Endrick initially, even bringing his parents to Cobham. Peña claimed that Endrick's parents were impressed and everything pointed towards Chelsea getting the teenager's signature. Except there was one problem. The transfer fee was something Chelsea just didn't want to pay. Chelsea were trying to get Palmeiras to reduce that fee. Los Blancos didn't find the fee too much for Endrick, and they didn't want to lose out on a top talent. I think Real decided that they were never going to miss another talent like Vinicius Jr. or Endrick after Neymar moved to Barcelona. We'll save the details of the transfer for later, but Endrick has surely come a long way from the boy from the poor household to a widely sought-after talent. Endrick was born July 21, 2006 in Taguatinga Federal District in the capital city of Brasilia. His parents were so poor that he often slept without eating. However, despite their situation, the family found joy in football, and Endrick's dad Douglas found a little bit more joy than the rest. When Endrick was 4, he started playing football. Douglas began to record and post his goals on YouTube as he wanted to attract the top clubs. What Douglas did worked, as by the age of 8, he was training in a Real Madrid camp with his friends at Aguas Claras. Unfortunately, Endrick missed some training sessions because his family was poor and couldn't afford the bus fare. But still, the player wasn't going to give up. He was determined to be a successful footballer and lift his family from poverty. However, he wasn't the only one. His football-loving dad had the same agenda. So when Endrick was 11, his father decided to pursue a career in football himself. To do this, Douglas had to sacrifice. He abandoned his family to play for multiple small clubs in Brasilia. His mother, Sinitia, who was unemployed, couldn't afford to keep the roof over their heads, so Endrick and his siblings had to live in an orphanage at Sao Paulo until his father returned after 6 months. After his father returned from his sadly unsuccessful search for footballing glory, he and his wife found work at a cafe on the city's underground train station. Douglas still had the ambition of football and put his hopes on his son. Despite wanting Endrick to play football, Douglas couldn't afford to pay his fees for the top academies in Brazil. If Endrick was going to get in one of those, he had to go on a trial. Fortunately, Endrick, who was 11 at the time, Palmeiras' first-team janitor. So with a job in hand, Douglas and the family moved. As the first-team janitor, Douglas gave his son tips on the attitude that he should have. He encouraged his son to be humble and not have an inflated ego. It looks like Endrick is taking his father's lessons to heart. Despite being one of the most hyped teenagers in the world currently, Endrick doesn't buy into his own hype. I have to keep humble and remember the difficulties I've gone through. It gives me strength to carry on, Endrick said in an interview. He also shook away attempts by the media to compare him to football legends. In an interview with GQ in Brazil, the teenage sensation said, "Sometimes I ask myself, why are there so many stories about me? I didn't ask for this. There are situations that cross a line." So, despite not wanting to be compared to legends, could he eventually become one himself? It appears that all Endrick wants to do is play football, and he does that excellently. Over the next 5 years since he started the trial, Endrick went on to score 165 goals in 169 games for Palmeiras' youth teams. What made those goals even more special is that a few of them came from his participation in an under-21 tournament, Copinha, while aged just 15. Endrick's performance in that tournament, which is Brazil's most prestigious youth competition, was simply fantastic, and he walked away winning player of the tournament. This achievement increased his hype, but Endrick knew he still had a long way to go. The teenage sensation revealed he now knows he is performing at an advanced level, but he still doesn't believe he's special and that he has a lot of work to do. Endrick sure has a lot of humility to match his impressive skill set, which is an underrated trait in a football player. After his displays in youth football, the Brazilian became the subject of transfer speculation, with Real Madrid eventually paying Palmeiras €60 million during the 2022 World Cup. Some sources claim that only €35 million was fixed, with the remaining €25 million being potential add-ons. The teenager continued to play for Palmeiras, hoping to improve on his bright form. However, instead of getting eased into the team as a substitute so that he could gradually improve and learn, Palmeiras sold their primary attackers Danilo and Gustavo Scarpa to Nottingham Forest in January. This meant that the 16-year-old Endrick had to step up. He didn't. Endrick instead went on a goal drought starting from February 2023. Maybe it was because Madrid had paid handsomely for him, or maybe he just wanted to impress too badly, but he suddenly started trying to do too much for his team. This backfired big time, as he didn't score in 8 out of the 10 games that he started, missing 4 big chances and contributing 0 goal contributions. The pressure was getting to Endrick, and after hitting double-digit performances without a goal, he began to cry on the bench after being substituted. Palmeiras' coach asked for calm for the starlet from the fans, and it was clear that he needed it. Unfortunately, the Brazilian media wouldn't cool it with the comparisons, and they just added to the sensational pressure the teenager was feeling. Eventually, after 12 matches of not scoring, Endrick finally turned things around in April, as the coach did then ease him into the team. He went on to score 3 in his first 4 games. Confidence soared again for Endrick, and he began to dazzle, doing more than just scoring with his mazy dribbles. But then Endrick slipped into another drought in the summer and went another 12 consecutive matches without a goal. Then, to make matters worse, Endrick suffered a horrible tackle from a Corinthians player in September. Endrick was continuously causing Corinthians trouble as Palmeiras aimed to be league leaders. By October, Endrick's form, though, was fully back, and he scored 4 goals in 10 days, including a brace against Botafogo, which was described as a potential title decider. His goals would eventually help his team win the title for that season. Despite only just starting out, Endrick is already playing crucial parts of his team's success, just as Ronaldo did. The two of them have a similar build and a similar style of play. They're strong on the ball, pacey, can dribble, and have immense striking abilities. However, will Endrick create his own legacy as Ronaldo did? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more. See you on the next one.